Have you ever walked away from a conversation and felt like something was off, but you couldn't quite explain why? Have you ever been made to feel guilty, confused, or even ashamed without knowing what you did wrong? Have you ever trusted someone only to realize later that their words were a carefully crafted trap? Why do some people lie so well, and how can you protect yourself from them? And most importantly, how can you stay calm, clear-headed, and in control when others try to manipulate your reality? If these questions hit close to home, you're in the right place. Before we go any further, take a moment to subscribe to this channel. If you're serious about building unshakable self-awareness and living by the wisdom of Stoic philosophy, this is where it begins. Trust. The foundation and the target. Trust isn't just a word, it's the foundation of every meaningful relationship. It's fragile, it's sacred, and once broken, it rarely returns the same. Liars know this. And the most dangerous ones don't use obvious deception, they use questions. Questions designed to twist your thoughts, confuse your emotions, and make you doubt yourself. Stoic philosophy teaches us to seek clarity, remain anchored in reason, and not be ruled by the emotions others try to stir in us. Let's expose the 5 manipulative questions liars often ask and how to respond with strength and wisdom. 1. Don't you trust me? At first glance, "Don't you trust me" might sound like a heartfelt plea, a moment of vulnerability from someone seeking closeness. But a closer look often reveals something different. This question, especially when asked in the heat of a disagreement or after questionable behavior, isn't truly about trust. It's about control. It's designed to put you on the defensive, to make you feel guilty for having doubts. And once guilt sets in, manipulation follows. From a Stoic perspective, we must remain vigilant when words are used as weapons, even subtly. The Stoics teach us that emotions, especially those driven by guilt or fear, cloud our judgment. When someone asks, "Don't you trust me?" in a way that suggests you're wrong to be cautious, what they're really doing is flipping the script. Suddenly, your healthy suspicion becomes a flaw. Your need for evidence is portrayed as an insult. This is emotional sleight of hand. Stoicism teaches that we must respond to such situations not with emotion, but with reason. When someone demands trust without demonstrating trustworthy behavior, the wise response is calm clarity. A Stoic might answer, "Trust is earned through consistent actions, not through pressure or pleading." This shifts the conversation back to facts, away from feelings designed to manipulate. Trust is not a gift you owe anyone. It's not a switch you flip because someone insists on it. It's a gradual accumulation built over time through reliability, honesty, and integrity. When someone tries to shortcut that process, especially by questioning your morality or loyalty, they're not asking for trust. They're asking for submission. Consider the deeper implications. A truly trustworthy person doesn't fear your skepticism, they welcome it. They understand that trust, once broken, must be rebuilt, and they're willing to take the necessary steps. But the manipulative individual sees your doubt as a threat, not an opportunity. That's why they'll phrase things in a way that makes you feel like you are the one doing something wrong. A Stoic understands that you are not responsible for how someone reacts to your boundaries. You are only responsible for setting them with clarity and calm. If your trust has been violated, or if it hasn't been earned, you are not obligated to offer it freely. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." To offer trust without reason is to betray your own sense of what is right. So the next time someone asks, "Don't you trust me?" pause. Ask yourself, what have they done to earn that trust? Let your actions reflect wisdom, not weakness. Because in the end, trust isn't about what someone says. It's about what they do. 2. Why would I lie? Why would I lie? Sounds like a rhetorical question, but in reality, it's a trap, a manipulative technique to shift the burden of proof. Instead of explaining their own behavior, the person asking this wants you to explain why you're suspicious. It's a clever deflection, and if you're not careful, you'll find yourself justifying your doubts instead of examining their actions. Stoicism teaches us to remain anchored in truth and logic. When emotions are high, clarity often gets lost. Manipulators know this, and they count on your emotional response to override your rational mind. By asking, "Why would I lie?" they hope to confuse you, to make you second-guess yourself. But the Stoic path is about resisting emotional manipulation. As Epictetus taught, it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretations of them. This question also falsely assumes that lying must have an obvious motive. But in reality, people lie for countless reasons, some small, some strategic. They lie to avoid consequences, to gain favor, to protect their ego, or simply out of habit. The question, "Why would I lie?" pretends that deception is rare or unlikely. But the Stoic doesn't waste time trying to understand the liar's motives. Instead, they examine the facts. When faced with a manipulative question like this, the Stoic response is not to argue in circles. Instead, you might say, it's not about why someone might lie. It's about whether the evidence supports the truth. This removes the emotional tension and returns the focus to reality. Liars want you off balance. They want to keep you focused on proving your doubts rather than exploring their behavior. Don't take the bait. A Stoic keeps their footing by trusting evidence, not emotion. Remember this: being cautious does not make you paranoid. It makes you discerning. And discernment is a form of wisdom. If someone is insulted by your need for clarity or honesty, that says more about them than it does about you. The truth doesn't fear scrutiny. Lies do. So the next time someone challenges your suspicion with, "Why would I lie?" respond with Stoic calm. Let facts, not performances, guide your thinking. Stay grounded, stay rational, and most of all, stay true to your inner compass. 3. Can you keep a secret? Can you keep a secret? This question can feel exciting, even flattering. It implies trust, exclusivity, and connection. But beware, not all secrets are harmless. And when a manipulative person asks this question, it often signals the beginning of entanglement. Secrets are powerful. They bind people together, but not always in healthy ways. The moment you agree to keep a secret without knowing what it is, you enter into a silent contract. Now you're involved. Now you're complicit. And that's exactly what some people want. Stoicism teaches us to protect our integrity above all else. Before you agree to keep a secret, ask yourself, will this compromise my values? Will this disturb my peace of mind? A Stoic does not agree to anything blindly. They understand that their moral compass must remain unshaken by peer pressure or emotional manipulation. When someone asks, "Can you keep a secret?" the Stoic response is not an eager yes, but a measured, "That depends on what the secret is." This ensures you remain in control of your choices. It communicates clearly that your silence cannot be bought with emotional currency. Manipulators use secrets to control. The more you know, the more you're pressured to stay quiet. The more you're told, "No one else knows this," the more you feel obligated to remain loyal. But secrecy without clarity is a trap. And once you're in, it's hard to get out without breaking trust, often a trust that was manipulated into place. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it doesn't harm your soul, do it. If it does, don't." Keeping a harmful secret can erode your peace of mind, weigh down your conscience, and tie you to someone else's dishonesty. That is a harm to your soul. So the next time someone leans in and asks, "Can you keep a secret?" Pause. Consider what's being asked of you. Don't let yourself be caught in a web of silence spun from manipulation. Your integrity, your inner peace, and your commitment to what's right must come first. 4. Who told you that? This phrase is a red flag. When someone says, "Who told you that?" in response to a serious claim or accusation, they're not seeking clarity, they're deflecting. They are redirecting your attention away from the issue at hand and placing it squarely on the source of your information. It's a classic tactic often used by manipulative individuals, especially when they feel cornered or exposed. Rather than engage in a discussion about whether something is true or false, they attempt to sow doubt and guilt. The underlying psychological move is subtle but powerful. By focusing on the messenger, the manipulator avoids addressing the message. They may try to make you feel like you've betrayed a trust or broken some kind of social rule by even knowing what you know. The question, "Who told you that?" implies that you shouldn't have access to the truth in the first place, which itself is a form of control. It positions you as a wrongdoer merely for possessing knowledge they don't want exposed. But this is where Stoic philosophy steps in with clarity and resolve. From a Stoic standpoint, truth is paramount. Stoicism teaches us that we should seek truth and virtue above all else, not popularity, not approval, and certainly not appeasement. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." Notice what matters in his words, the truth itself, not who revealed it. So when someone asks, "Who told you that?" your response should not play into their drama. Instead, bring the conversation back to what actually matters. A calm, firm response such as, "It doesn't matter who said it. What matters is whether it's accurate," is a powerful way to regain control of the dialogue and keep it grounded in reason. Let's consider a real-world example. Imagine you discover that a coworker has been speaking negatively about you to a manager. You confront them and say, "I heard you've been criticizing my performance behind my back." If they respond with, "Who told you that?" they are trying to change the focus from their behavior to your source. They want you to doubt your position and shift into defending your knowledge. But if you allow that, you've already lost the upper hand. Instead, a Stoic-inspired response would maintain the focus. Whether I heard it from one person or 10 doesn't matter. I'm asking because I want to understand if it's true, and if so, why. This shifts the conversation back toward facts and accountability. It avoids the emotional traps of gossip and suspicion, focusing instead on the issue at hand. There's another layer to this tactic: shame. The manipulator might say something like, "You shouldn't believe everything you hear," or "I can't believe you'd listen to that person." These are meant to make you feel ashamed for paying attention to the source. But Stoicism rejects emotional manipulation. What matters is not how the truth makes someone feel, but how it aligns with reason and evidence. Seneca once said, "Truth is simple. If it was complicated, everyone would be trying to tell it." Manipulators complicate the truth to protect themselves. Stoics simplify it to make it accessible and actionable. So how can you cultivate the Stoic mindset when faced with this redirection? First, detach from the emotional bait. Recognize that the question, "Who told you that?" is not neutral. It's a maneuver. Second, bring the focus back to the claim itself. Ask questions like, "Is it true?" or "Why might someone have said that?" Third, avoid the temptation to engage in gossip or defend your source. The truth doesn't care about its origin, it stands on its own merit. Finally, remember that Your goal isn't to win an argument, but to pursue clarity and integrity. You are responsible for your own actions and judgments, not how others choose to respond. In Stoicism, the wise person maintains equanimity in the face of deflection and deceit. They recognize the tactics of manipulation and meet them not with outrage, but with calm firmness. 5. Don't you remember? At first glance, don't you remember may sound like a harmless question, but when used by a manipulative person, it can become a tool of psychological warfare. It's often used as a form of gaslighting, a deliberate attempt to make you question your perception, your memory, and ultimately your sanity. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious forms of emotional abuse. By making someone doubt their own recollection of events, the manipulator gains power. They can redefine what happened, rewrite history, and convince you that your instincts and memories cannot be trusted. It's a slow erosion of self-trust, and over time it can lead to confusion, anxiety, and deep self-doubt. When someone says, "Don't you remember?" and they do it not in good faith but with an accusatory tone, what they're often doing is asserting their version of reality over yours. You may find yourself thinking, "Maybe I got it wrong," or "Am I being too sensitive?" But here's the truth. Memory is imperfect for everyone, including them. Just because someone insists on a version of events doesn't make it true. This is where Stoicism becomes your anchor. The Stoic approach to these moments begins with inner stillness. Before reacting to the pressure of the question, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, does this align with what I know to be true? The Stoics believed in examining impressions carefully before accepting them as true. Epictetus advised, do not be swept away by the appearance of things, but examine them closely. In the context of manipulation, this means not immediately accepting someone else's version of events, especially when it conflicts with your own lived experience. Let's imagine a scenario. You recall a conversation where someone promised to support you on a project, but later they deny it ever happened. When you confront them, they say, "Don't you remember? I told you I couldn't help." You're left questioning yourself. But if your memory is vivid and consistent, that dissonance is a clue. A Stoic wouldn't immediately give in to the pressure. Instead, they would reflect. What were the circumstances of the conversation? What did I feel afterward? Do I have any evidence, emails, texts, witnesses? Stoicism teaches us to value our reason and perception, not because they are flawless, but because they are ours to refine. Trusting yourself doesn't mean believing you're always right. It means being committed to the process of discerning truth carefully. If doubts persist, seek objective evidence. Look for written communication or speak to others who might have been present. Let facts clarify where memory may blur. Importantly, don't allow shame or guilt to distort your judgment. The manipulator may say, "You're always forgetting things," or "You're imagining stuff again." These are designed to undermine your confidence, not support accuracy. Here are a few Stoic-aligned responses you can use when faced with this phrase. "That's not how I remember it. Maybe we should take a moment to clarify what was said. I may not recall every word, but I clearly remember the impression it left. I'm open to being wrong, but I'd like to verify it before changing my stance." These responses keep you grounded. They neither accuse nor surrender. They invite truth. In the long run, gaslighting only works when we lose connection with our inner compass. Stoicism strengthens that compass. It tells us, you may not be perfect, but you are capable of truth. You have the power to examine, to reflect, and to stand firm in what you know. When you hear, "Don't you remember?" and it doesn't sit right with you, pause. Reconnect with your reason. Use that moment not to panic, but to rise. Because a Stoic doesn't fear uncertainty. They meet it with courage, clarity, and calm. The ancient Stoics believed in living by reason, clarity, and virtue, even in a world filled with deception. Liars prey on confusion. They twist words and feelings to gain control. But when you learn to recognize their tactics, their power over you dissolves. You don't need to fight fire with fire. You need only stand in your truth with calm, self-aware conviction. So the next time someone asks a question that makes your gut twist, pause, look past the words, see the motive, and ask yourself, is this aligned with integrity or is this a trap? If you found value in this, hit that subscribe button and join a community of people committed to inner strength and clarity, because the best defense against lies is a mind grounded in truth.